Alright, so between the game being broken for 2 weeks and then me taking a break for personal issues, it's been a second since we've done anything in the save file. If you don't know, I'm making a save file. It has a ton of lore, a lot of realism, a lot of stories between characters. I'm very excited about it. And I wanted to give you a whole overview of everything that we've done up till now. So this will be a good catch-up video. If you're new, or if you haven't watched all the lore videos yet, or you just want a refresher because it's been a minute. And I think the best place to start is to start showing you the progress at specifically this park. So this is Hydrangea Bend, and I think that this is a really good starting place for the lore of the town. As I said, the town has a lot of lore. This is the first ever home that was built. It was built by the founders of Willow Creek, and they moved to this sort of P&W willow basin. So we've transformed Willow Creek and added a ton of evergreen trees everywhere, and it's this kind of fertile land because it's this river basin. And the founders built this house, which is now a historical park that you can go visit, and there's a hydrangea farm and also a graveyard where the dead founders now lay. The description for this is experience the historic Boudreaux Manor and learn about the foundings of Willow Creek. This park includes the historic hydrangea farm and the Willow Creek Cemetery. There's also going to be like a little kids play area there. We haven't quite gotten to that part yet. And while we're at it, I'll show you the founders. This is Jane Boudreaux in her live state. As said, she will be dead in the save file because they're the founders of the town. It's decades old. They're gone. And then this is Guy Boudreaux, and their whole story is that he's a little bit of a goofy, silly goofball. He's a writer, so he writes a lot. There's going to be a lot of texts in the town that he's written. So they moved to Willow Creek, and it became like this fertile farming land. That brings me to kind of the general world description of how we went from that history to now. So the world description is founded in 1875 by Guy and Jane Boudreaux. Willow Creek was a fertile river basin that made for abundant agricultural pursuits. Present day, Willow Creek has a beautiful historic downtown along the coast, lush greenery, and charming century homes. The recent efforts to revitalize the Oldtown district have brought new families and tourists alike. Willow Creek is home to the annual Hydrangea Farmers Market every spring. That leads me naturally to the descendants of the founders. There's a lot to uncover with that world description, but I think that this is the best starting place. So I'm not quite done with this house yet, but this is their current household where they currently live. It is much better than the historical mansion, and that is because there's a lot more Sims to pack in here. But we have some of the rooms done, like this is Saoirse's room, Saoirse Boudreaux. She's the next heir to the estate, but she is kind of got other things going on. She has a Romeo and Juliet star-crossed lovers story with a rival family, which I'll get to in a little bit when I get into the rival family. But yeah, there's tons of lore and like photos and journal entries to uncover in her room about her relationship with this sim Leo, who she is desperately in love with. But we have some of this house furnished, so downstairs, this is kind of an overview of what it looks like. I'm going to do a detailed furnishing speed build where I talk about a lot of this, so I'm not going to go super in depth, but I think that generally it's really gorgeous and really pretty. This sim is the current head of the household. She's the one who's currently taking on the Boudreaux family estate responsibilities and town responsibilities, but her daughter, Saoirse, is destined to inherit it all, except for she doesn't really want to. Way caught up in her romance with Leo and not too interested in inheriting the whole estate. I don't have their names or outfits down, so don't get on me about that. We haven't quite gotten to that part. But to give you an overview of kind of the family dynamics that I have figured out, this is Drew Boudreaux. He was the previous head of the household before it went to the current Sim, who I don't have a name for. His name might also change, by the way. It's a bit of a placeholder, but he made some bad money decisions, some bad investments. They used to be the most powerful family in this town. Obviously, they founded this town, and in an unfortunate turn of events, he made some bad investments, and they've had to sell a lot of their properties to the Landry family who lives next door. So this is the Landry household. She doesn't have her hair right now. I don't know why. A lot of the stuff broke in my game. They're a newer family. They are also pretty wealthy, and they've bought a a lot of the Oldtown district from the Bedreaux. I'll take you around that district next, but what you need to know about her is that she wants to be a 5-star property owner. She's ambitious, she's a little bit cringe, and she's self-assured, and she is married to her husband, and he is friend of the world, he's adventurous, he's vegetarian, and he's creative. And they have a son, and this is Leo, who is desperately in love with a Bedreaux. The beef between the Landrys and the Bedreaux is a little bit one-sided. The Landrys don't really hate the Bedreaux, but the Bedreaux really hate the Landrys. I'm going to show you their house. It's not furnished at all, but I'll give you kind of a little tour. Currently, I'm not quite sure I want to keep it. It's just very suburbia, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I am really happy with kind of the interior layout of it all. I don't know if it necessarily fits Willow Creek in the way that I really want it to. So this build might change, but they are going to live here at the very least in something kind of similar to that, where it's going to have a more contemporary feel to the Bedreaux estate to kind of contrast those two families against each other. Then this is this Oldtown district that I keep mentioning. So this is the whole kind of area. I've used tool mod a lot around this area too to kind of give it more of a PNW feel, the way that I really want it to look instead of just the way that Willow Creek looks. This is Cafe Verde, and I thought that this was a really cute kind of hipsterish cafe. I think that the whole point of this district is kind of like a hipster, kind of trendy area that a bunch of new people who are kind of moving into this town are really enjoying. Same with this thrift and boba tea build that I have very much in progress. It is not done, but this is the kind of thrift store, and then there will be a boba place next door, and then kind of some other buildings back in here that you could take your Sims to. And then this is a set of 3 townhomes, which I will take you to next. I've been saying PNW, Pacific Northwest of America / Canada. So we're talking like Vancouver, BC, Seattle, Portland, parts of Idaho, parts of Montana even, very much inspired by that area. And a really big thing that happens in this area, at least in my experience, is that there's a lot of people moving from these bigger cities like Seattle and Portland and even LA into smaller towns and kind of taking like tech industry jobs where they can work from home. And it creates some conflict in some smaller towns where there's this growth happening and the original people in the town kind of resent that it's getting bigger and it's growing. And so there's an overall conflict in this town surrounding this old district as well, that it's where a lot of the new families live. It's where a lot of the families tied in with the Landrys live, and the Landrys are this new family, but now they're becoming so powerful in this town. It's all just very representative of this kind of conflict that's happening in the kind of background lore of this town. This townhome is going to be open for your sim to kind of rent. And this middle townhome is home to Rema and Jamie Santiago and their son, Angel. So this is Rema, and they moved to Willow Creek just recently. They're still unpacking, which is why some of their house will have boxes. I haven't completely finished furnishing this either. Are we surprised? But they moved from San Myshuno, where they used to live, to Willow Creek because Rema got a really amazing job opportunity in Willow Creek. And it is going to be in the tech industry because of that background I kind of gave you. Jamie had a really amazing job in San Myshuno, but after moving to kind of the smaller area and the birth of their son, Angel, he's kind of just embraced being like a stay-at-home dad, which has honestly become a big point of contention between these two because he gave up his job and his like life and friends to come pursue her dreams by moving here, and now she's kind of resentful at him that he's a stay-at-home dad and he hasn't gotten his own job. So it's this interesting conflict between these two, which I think is a lot of fun. Next door is a townhome for 2 siblings, Harlow and Rune, and they recently came into money. They grew up a lot poorer, but because of their mother marrying a Bedreaux family member, they have now access to funds for this townhome. But this is Harlow. She's the older of the 2 siblings, and she has the city native aspiration. She, conversely to the other family, she desires to move out of Willow Creek to San Myshuno. My eyelashes are broken. These used to work on her, and now they don't. Okay, I'll have to address that later. She's adventurous and a music lover and hot-headed, and this is their sibling, Rune, who is a teen. Ignore the fact that all my eyelashes are broken right now. I don't know what that's about, because after the initial Love Struck launch, this wasn't an issue. This is new. It must have been an update that happened within the last week. I don't know. I'm so tired of this game, and it's so broken, but powering through. There's a reason that I haven't done a save file video in a while, and it's just because EA keeps breaking the game over and over and over again. Like, things are kind of fixed, and then they're broken, and then they're kind of fixed, and then they're kind of broken again, and I'm exhausted. But they have the nerd brain aspiration, cat lover, and perfectionist. They have like a ton of hobbies. They're into crafting. This is a really cute sim, and they have really interesting feelings because their mom, whose current placeholder name is Mary, recently married into the Bedreau family, and she's pregnant and she's kind of starting her life over. So it's this interesting dynamic of these two almost like fully grown siblings, and then their mom is kind of starting over her entire life. And they actually grew up pretty poor. They lived in this home right here, this white house that is currently house to Sid and Shiloh, who I will show you in a second. Growing up, they kind of rented this smaller house from their next door neighbors, but now her mom has moved to this house right here with her new fiance. So this is the house that they own together, and lots of the other houses in this neighborhood are going to be much more typical of like middle-class suburbia, so don't worry, not every build in this save is going to be an exquisite Victorian. I just happen to like to build a lot of those. Also, my wallpapers, once again, not in my game. It is kind of just not my day at the moment. But yeah, so they have this really fancy house right here, and it kind of contrasts against this white house that they used to live in, which has been recently up furnished and renovated, and it is actually owned by the family who lives right next door. This is a residential rental lot, but they renovated this property after that family moved out and are now renting it to these two, Shiloh and Sid, who are kind of new but also not new to Willow Creek. I furnished it very typical to the way that I feel my college friends kind of furnish their apartments. So they're fresh out of college. Sid is an art degree, has the painter extraordinaire aspiration, and is creative, outgoing, and an overachiever. Her girlfriend Shiloh is a good goofball, socially awkward, and a quick learner. And Shiloh is originally from Willow Creek, moved away for college, and then came back with her girlfriend Sid. Sid is completely new to Willow Creek, but comes from a similar, smaller town kind of background. Some notes on Sid's background that I kind of forgot to mention here is that Sid's storyline actually, interestingly, and kind of unintentionally on my part, but now I'm making it intentional, mirrors Saoirse's, except for just in like a smaller town from less wealth kind of way. Sid's whole story is that her father wanted her to not go to college to pursue art, but instead inherit the family business, which was a bar in her hometown. And she said, no, I'm going to college and I'm gonna move in with my lesbian girlfriend. And then they did. And what's interesting is that Shiloh is actually childhood best friends with Saoirse, as well as then went on to date Sid, and they're pretty similar, so I think I'm gonna have a little storyline in there about Shiloh kind of having a childhood crush on Saoirse, and then just has a type, essentially, which, a weird type to have, but I don't know, I think that's an interesting storyline. I don't know if I'm gonna make it like drama between these two necessarily, but I don't know, it was something unintentional that I did, and then I was like, wait a second, that could kind of work, so we're keeping it. Shiloh has a whole family, so her father is Theodora Attia and also Benny Attia, so they are going to have a whole bunch of siblings in a bigger family that's also going to be in the save file somewhere. I've kind of just made them, and so I haven't made any of the siblings or their house or anything like that, but that is something to note that, you know, she has moved back and her whole family still lives in Willow Creek. Sid doesn't have any family around here, and they're kind of renting from their next door neighbors, and they have this interesting and kind of tense relationship with the landlords who live next door. So this house next door is home to Edna and Lori Long. These are actually the first Sims that I made for the save file and my first lore video on this channel that kind of kicked off all this. So they hold kind of a special place in my heart, but the lore here is that Lori Lori Long is Edna's grandson, and he lives at home with her. He has a band, he has a dog, and he kind of breaks all of Edna's tenant rules that she imposes on the neighbors. Like, she has no parties, no trash, no noise, and then he, has parties and is really loud with his band, which Harlow is also in his band. The band is called Magenta Obscurity. They practice in the basement downstairs, as well as Birdie, who we will also kind of get into in a second. So Lori and Harlow actually have some interesting lore. You'll see that they have a romance bar. They're broken up, so they're no longer together, but Lori still definitely has super big feelings for Harlow, and they're still in this band together, and it's kind of drama. They're also like childhood best friends. They lived right next door to each other, as well as the same with Birdie, which Birdie lives in this blue house down on the end of the street. So here's some family photos. This man is Lauren, and he is the person that young Lori is named after. So this is a portrait of the grandparents and the grandkids, which Lori's mom, Mare, is kind of missing from all this. She is kind of absent from Lori's life. Lori lives with his grandparents, including the now gone Lauren. Mare had another kid named Kaide, so his half-sister is the one who is in this photo over here. They aren't super close, and Lori and Edna are super duper close. And then here are some historical photos of them in their home, and also of Lauren when he was younger, as well as a keepsake box that has some more lore in here, including a portrait of Edna when she was a lot younger. I think that this is some like the best lore that I've created in this entire save file, and it's so sad. Here's another photo of them dancing in the kitchen together, and a fish on the wall because Lauren used to love to fish. But I haven't organized these at all, but here are photos that are going to be put around to kind of introduce you to the concept of Harlow and Lori having this relationship when they were teenagers, and also these three being kind of best friends growing up, and also currently with the band. Ignore the Valentine's Day decorations, but this house is just an empty, vacant home that your Sims can move into when they move into this world. And here is the Brown household. So these Sims are inspired by Spider-Man. God, this video is just so much of me explaining, but I guess that's what a recap video is. So this is that home. I haven't fully furnished this house either. I've kind of vaguely started. Okay, there's a lot of Sims in this household because I'm in the midst of lore for them. I'm in the middle of a lore video for them, so I'm not going to show you too much, but just know that this is Birdie Brown. He is best friends with Harlow. He's inspired by Spider-Man, so he's actually inspired by Hobie Brown, specifically Spider-Punk. So he lives with his aunt and his niece. He is an art lover, self-assured, lactose intolerant, and gregarious. He is the front of the world aspiration, but Birdie is very involved politically and ties into some of the political drama happening in this town as well. So let me take you to the city hall. So this is the city hall. It's a community space technically, so there's a couple different variations of it. This is the community garden variation, which I imagine is kind of its default. It has a little stage for performing over here, which I thought was cute, and then obviously like a community garden space. The actual city hall itself I thought was really cute because it's a nice spot for some more lore for the town. There's a little research area with a research and debate machine, which I thought was really good gameplay to stick that in a build somewhere. This is the current mayor's office, and I want there to be a lot of letters that Birdie has sent very angry to this mayor about different stuff that's happening in the town. I have a couple of different ideas for kind of a corrupt mayor storyline. A cute little break room area. I don't know. I just thought this build was super realistic for a community lot, which I really loved. And then also the marketplace, which is that annual hydrangea farmers market that I mentioned. So I spent a lot of time making a cute little farmers market area, which sucks because all your Sims come and they just sell candles. I wish they would sell like anything other than just candles, but they just sell a ton of candles. But I put a lot of detail in this, like this little jewelry spot. There's some food stalls, some other kind of space. I don't know. I thought that this was really cute. I have a few homes I haven't showed you, like this one and one behind my face cam, but at the moment they're just exteriors. I don't have any families that are living there or anything. Okay, I forgot about Sylvan Glade. So really quickly, there is a fire watchtower in Sylvan Glade where it's a secret hiding spot for Leo and Saoirse to kind of go together because it's this hidden place that only those two really know how to get to. But the other thing about the fire watchtower is I really want there to be some kind of mystery happening with it. There's going to be a sim who I'm going to kind of allude to. And I don't know what the mystery is. I was kind of thinking, like, is this a murder mystery? Is the Firewatch Tower man missing and we don't know where he is? Is he some kind of hobbit? Can we find him somewhere else in the world? Like, I don't know. I don't know what the mystery is, but there's going to be a mystery. And I can't believe I forgot to mention, because it's like one of the most exciting things I think is currently bouncing around in my brain about the save file. But I'll be honest, everything about the save file is so exciting to me. Yeah, that is the entire lore so far of this save file. So it's kind of a lot to get through, and as you kind of noticed, all the sims kind of tie into one another. I don't know, I'm just having a ton of fun with this save file, and it's coming along really great. So that is my update. If you wanted to see the original plans video where I kind of outlined my beginning plans to kind of compare how things have kind of changed as things have progressed, I'll link that up there, as well as all of my lore playlists if you would like to binge watch any of the lore happening in this town. Hopefully this caught you up to speed or gave you a nice refresher, and thank you for watching.